If
Have you asked the school districts to submit a written plan to the governor's office to define what they're going to do with these funds?
I have not done that more than just verbally. That really is the place of the finance committee process, because it's in their court at this point. But I've made it very clear in my communications that that's what we're looking for, and as has the governor.
And what's the time frame that they have to respond to something like that? Or what's the time frame, I should say, that the state has in either accepting or rejecting funding?
Well, you're going to see the legislature work on a resolution to accept any funding that the governor does not accept. But then what really happens is the spending bill has to come through the legislature to spend the money. Mm-hmm. That means that they have until the end of session to get the money spent via a bill. I mean, it won't be spent in the district's hands, but it'll be appropriated by the legislature. So we're looking at around April 19 would be the final. The governor was under the deadline to certify that she was requesting certain funds by April 3rd, but the legislature, we believe will have till the end of session to appropriate those funds.
If we could take one more call,
yes, you bet.
Let you get on with your day. Go ahead. You're on with Lieutenant Governor Sean Parnell.
Hey, Mr. Parnell. I want to clarify something, and I've listened to probably 15 different press stories, including CNN's over-exaggeration and everybody else's, and I'm one of those types that actually tries to look at everything. And I actually, the day that I heard about Sarah Palin not denying some of this money, but saying she didn't want some of this money, I actually went and pulled up the PDF and looked at all the programs that were I guess, put aside for now.
Yeah.
And most of those programs that I looked at, along with education, weren't going to necessarily create jobs. They were just going to provide more money for people.
Well, that's right.
I understand that that's what we are overall trying to avoid is that the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've been told, don't we have to pay that money back?
No, but you're right in the first instance, and that is that the governor is required by that federal law, that Federal Stimulus Act, to certify that any funds she requests will be used for jobs and promotion of economic stimulus, and she could not, in good conscience, do that with the operating budget type funds, the government services type funds, and that's one of the reasons why she didn't request those funds at this point.
Really quickly, I'm going to let you go, Lieutenant Governor Sean Parnell, on the line here. So the game plan is, now it goes before our legislative body. They're going to discuss. You need to get. Now, we're specifying education, because that's the hot button. That seems to be the one that everyone's paying attention to.
Yeah, but there's a lot more money in there in health and social services and commerce and all public safety. All the federal government stimulus package is really a grow state government package,
right?
And that's what this is about in part.
But so what they need to do then is come to the legislative body with a plan that says, here's how we're going to spend this money. This is what to go for. Then they vote on it, okay? Right. Let's say they vote to approve it. Then it goes to the governor, and she either signs off on it or says, wait a second, this still isn't clear. Correct?
Yeah, just like any appropriations bill or spending bill, she has that ability to sign it, to let it become law without her signature, or to veto. So it's the process is not over with, and we've got to get through this appropriations process in the public hearing and see the school district's plans.
So all of these headlines, all of these news stories that said Governor Palin denies money, says no to money, those are incorrect.
I think I think they overstate the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that the money is still out there. It's just a matter of us being judicious in making sure that it's spent exactly what it's supposed to be spent for, and that we're not going to be on the hook and cause ourselves more of a burden down the road.
It's I call it the holes and strings. It's we're going to dig ourselves a hole, and we've got to look out for those federal strings, and that's what the public process is designed to expose.
Well, I tell you, we appreciate you calling. You've made me feel much better, and I'm sure that there's a lot of listeners right now listening that are going, okay, you know what? This makes sense. I think there's been an overreaction. People got a little bit freaked out, and it's not entirely as it seems.
Well, that's often the case, isn't it? But I'm happy to help clarify it, and we'll see if I can get on the show again if I get some phone calls that say, Mark, you guys are a little bit have some questions.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, if you could talk to your boss and tell her that she's due.
Well, I'll do that, and I'll tell her that you were singing, you don't bring me flowers anymore.
Right, absolutely. I appreciate that, Lieutenant Governor, very, very much. You're very, very helpful on the program today. Thank you, sir.
You bet. We'll talk to you again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See,
no, that makes sense.
It makes great sense.
Look at it this way: you want assurances,
yes,
that the school districts aren't going to come to the state,
yes,
hat in hand, when this money runs out and say, "Where's my $40 million for this thing?"
Exactly.
Again?
Right.
That's perfectly all right by me.
I tell you what,
if you put that in writing, I could sign off on this. Where Carol Como says, "I will not come hat in hand and ask for $40 million to fund this program when it runs out."
Right. I tell you what,
I get it.
Now it makes complete sense. There's been a complete exaggeration of the situation. Good for you, listeners.
And I'm sure if we follow the exaggeration, we'll find out where it comes from.
Probably.
We know where it comes from.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. That's awesome.